Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. This is going to be a highlights video from the Nations race taken from Deep Forest in Group 4. So for this race, we had a variety of cars on the grid. You're going to see Alphas, Subarus and Silvias mainly. There was an opportunity to use the Dodge Viper on this combination as well. I decided to choose the Silvia. In terms of qualifying pace, the WRX and the Alpha were a little bit faster. Now, this combination wasn't my strongest during the practice phase, but we did run quite a few practice sessions. And in this slot, we managed to qualify ourselves in P8, which was going to give us opportunities. It wasn't ideal. It was a little bit further back than what I would have liked. I just couldn't hook that lap up to get into the 32s, although I did know that we should have been able to do it. But yeah, we've got opportunities here. We've got cars ahead. We've got 3 or 4 cars ahead of us that are going to struggle on the tyres because they are 4-wheel drive. Now, this race was a tyre saver. It was an 18 laps. You didn't want to pit because the pit lane loss was way too high, and it was all about preserving them tyres and trying to work your way forward to the front of the grid. You can see we're starting 6 seconds behind P1, so quite a distance behind from P8. Quite a bit of a field spread, as the car in front of us has got some severe connection issues there, and that was really off-putting, I have to say. On this first lap, it was a little bit worrying because sometimes you can get lag punted and it can really affect your concentration. But yeah, his connection was a little bit everywhere. You can see he's fully red on the connection bar there. It goes back up to an improved connection, but his car was lagging pretty much all the way through this race for different people, and quite a few people were having a few issues with him. But you can see onto the straight here, getting very close to the wall there. We luckily did not hit the wall, and now we're in that slipstream trying to push on and see if we can get as close as possible to them cars in front of us. Now, during the practice phase, when we were running a few practice lobbies on this combination, I was really struggling to get anywhere near the 33 mark in terms of laps. We could get them early on, but in terms of consistency throughout the race, I was really struggling. But in this race, we're trying to drive a bit better. We did do a race before this and we looked like we had pretty good pace out of nowhere. However, we had an instant where we got hit from the inside and then another car hit us and we got spun round. It was purely a racing incident. I don't think we could put any blame on the cars that were involved with it. But yeah, that put us right to the back of the grid, and it was a shame because we had worked our way up from like P15 to about P8 or 9, I think it was. It was looking like a P8 or 9. So that race was over. But this race, we're in a better position here. You can see we dropped a little bit off of P6 and 7. You can see Fento there up in P6. We're nearly losing the slipstream there, so we're going to skip ahead to the end of lap 2, and you can see as we come through here, P7 is going to go for a move on Fento, and that's going to give me the ability to get a bit more of a slipstream from him. You can see back onto the 9/10, and that's going to give us a bit more pull on this straight as we work our way down the main straight. But you can see obviously P7 is getting a very, very strong draft from Fento there, so he's possibly going to be looking to go for a move into the braking zone. He's going to go for that. You can see his connection lagging almost as he pulls out of that slipstream and goes for the move into the inside of turn 1. Fento I think he just lets that go and decides to play it quite smart and not lose too much time. Maybe go for a move back on the straight is what he was thinking. So yeah, Fento I think actually had slightly better pace than that driver. However, you had to look after your tyres in this race. It wasn't all about just going flat out at the start. You can see my lap on lap 2 was actually the fastest lap of the race, which was quite surprising. And we've gone purple again through there. But you can see again that lag from P6 causing him some issues there. And I'm guessing that gave Fento a little bit of a surprise as he was going through that corner, because it is really, like I say, it's really off-putting when cars are lagging like that. But yeah, at the moment we're doing okay. We've got another driver behind us there, 1.21 second behind. He's not really gaining too close in. We're going to pull away now on the strip. We've got a slightly better exit off that corner, and now we've got a bit more of a slipstream following behind Fento. So at the moment, this race is going the way we want it in terms of no incidents so far, and pace is looking pretty okay. You can see we're actually gaining on the lead. If you look at the delta to P1, it is actually coming down. It's under 5 seconds. Obviously, we started the race at 5.7 seconds, and during the first 3 or 4 laps, the 4-wheel drive cars were actually stronger than the Silvia. So it's good that we're decreasing that gap. Obviously, we do have a slight advantage of getting a bit of slipstream on these straights, which is helping us pull up closer and closer and closer. But so far, everything's going reasonably well. So we're going to go over the line on another 1 minute 33 or 33.5, which again, just slightly slower than the fastest lap of the race, but driving pretty well at the moment. Keeping it consistent, tucking in behind Fento here. We've got that slipstream. I'm sure Fento wants to get past that French driver because of obviously the connection you don't really want to be sitting behind someone when they're lagging like crazy. But yeah, even though this race didn't really have any strategy in terms of pitting, there was strategy in terms of looking after your tyres, and the race actually was quite enjoyable because had 2 long straights, middle sector where it was all about just trying to stay close to people, and then them 2 long straights which were really massive slipstream zones. It really gave people the ability to go for overtakes and some very good racing. Also, some of the corners on this track, you can go for a move and then you can take a different line, and you can get quite good exit speed, and you can fight a position all the way, to the next corner. We skip to the end of the straight. Fento's going to go for a move on P6. He's got that inside, but he just didn't get the exit speed. We're right up behind Fento. This is going to be interesting. Will Fento on this lap decide to go for a move? So it'd be nice if we could have followed Fento with the move here. You can see Fento's got that slipstream. He's going to go to the right and then probably go back up to the left-hand side. Will he go for the move here? It looks like he's actually not going to go for a move. I have a little look up the inside, but will Fento decide to send one? He is. He's going to send one up the inside there, but not much you can do. There's a little tiny bit of contact possibly, but a reasonably fair move, but it's so hard to judge when you were behind that French driver because his connection was really dodgy. I'm going to try and go around the outside of him now, but that isn't going to work. We're going to have to back out of that one and see if we can find somewhere else to try and get past P7 in this race. So far, quite an eventful start to this race. A lot of close racing, good clean racing so far. Not really many incidents. I think the Fento there, I don't really think there was massive contact. I think it was probably exaggerated by a bit of lag. So yeah, nothing too bad there. But can we seem to find a way past? We're not losing to, even though we're battling at this phase, the gap is still at 5 seconds. We've only lost 2 attempts during this phase where we're starting to battle a little bit. But once we get back into clean air, hopefully we can start reining that gap in a bit as we're getting the slipstream now. Nice bit of slipstream to P7. You can see under 2 attempts behind him. Can we go for a move? He's going to go defensive probably on the inside, which he does do, but that gives me the slipstream to Fento on the outside. Can we break a little bit later and try and hold the outside line all the way around the outside? We're not going to be able to do that, but we are going to be able to go for a little bit of a cutback and pick up the slipstream behind him now. And he's actually dropped a little bit further back from Fento, which means that's going to help me out in terms of the slipstream I get here. So we're going to go right up behind him here and then try and duck underneath to the right. However, as we duck under, we end up giving a little knock there, but can we still make our way round the outside? We've got the slipstream to Fento, so that's going to help me into the braking zone. Can we hold it? We managed to go all the way around the outside, just about slow it down, back on the throttle. He's going to go back up the inside now. Some great driving going on here, side by side, but we've managed to hold that inside line now to the next group of corners, and we've got the better acceleration. So up into P7 finally, and ahead of the driver that was having a few lag issues. So that is one nice thing. Let's just hope he doesn't get any lag issues while he's behind us. So now under the tunnel, and again, see if we can catch up to Fento. We've got about just under a second to Fento there, about 6-7 attempts I think it is. And Fento's obviously on the push to catch up them other cars. I think he's got an Alpha just in front of him in that lime green Alpha, and a Subaru ahead of that. So we know that them 2 cars are going to start to struggle on the tyres. So this is going to be a little bit more interesting now as we work through the laps and we get further on with this tyre wear. It could start really getting interesting towards the end of this race. But you can see we're possibly going to have to go a little bit defensive here on this main straight, as we've got quite a big gap to Fento. We've got only 9/10. We've got a bit of a slipstream, but the French driver behind us there, he's going to be possibly having a little look up the inside, but no, he's not going to be able to go for the move there. We're a little bit too far ahead of him. So now onto the main straight, back into that slipstream with Fento. We've got the gap up to half a second to P8. Can we see if we can break away from him now? So we skip a little bit further ahead, and you can see in the braking zone we're still ahead safely, but we've got a bit of a battle going on in front of us. You can see we're coming up to halfway through this race now, and this was the phase where some of them 4-wheel drive cars are going to be dropping off a little bit in pace. You can see my pace was actually pretty solid here. Lap 7 at 33.4. I don't know where I found this pace from. We started to get a lot better once we actually got into the actual sessions. I don't know whether in lobbies, sometimes your pace can be affected if you're the host or something, but it felt so much better in this session than in my lobbies. So yeah, it was strange, but we're right behind that lime green Alpha now, so we need to find a way past, because we know that that car is going to start to struggle on the next 4 or 5 laps. It's really going to start dropping off on pace with that 4-wheel drive system, but that car is incredibly fast. The Alpha is probably the fastest accelerating car through 3rd and 4th gear out of the whole of Group 4. You can see it pulling away there. However, once it gets to 5th gear, it almost dies completely. You can see once we get into 5th gear, we're starting to pull that gap back in. but a little bit too late. We're not going to be close enough to go for a move here, so getting very, very close in the braking zone. We're going to try and go all the way around the outside, giving ourselves the outside on the curb there, and now we're going to drag race all the way on the main straight. So can we find the way past? I'm going to decide to go quite far out to the right here, so you can see, drop back, get into the slipstream, and see if we can go for a move. We're going to try and tuck up underneath him. However, again, as I go to tuck up underneath him, I end up giving him a little bit of a bump draft, so we end up helping him. However, we're going to try and send it back up the inside. Can we go for the move? Can we slow it down in time? So down to third gear, down to second gear, and we manage to take that move up the inside. He's going to try and hang it around the outside there. He does manage to hold the car on the outside. Is he going to be able to hold the inside line for this corner? This is some great racing side by side. We give him the space on the apex there. Now we've got the inside line to this corner. We've just got the car just enough ahead, and we managed to hold on to P6. So a nice move there. Great bit of racing with the Alpha. Much respect for that. This race was absolutely so much fun. I really, really did enjoy these battles that we had during this race. We've gone from P8 to P6, so we've only gained 2 places so far, but we know there's opportunities to come further on, because we know that some of them cars in front of us are going to be struggling on the tyres as we go further into the race. So you can see the gap around 1.1 second to Fento ahead there. So we're going to skip a little bit further on to lap 10 now. You can see that we started to catch up to the Subaru. Fento eventually got past the Subaru and was in between a sandwich of 2 cars there, and now it's our turn to try and see if we can get up to them. However, on the exit there, we absolutely messed that up, and that's given the Alpha the ability to go for the move up on the inside. You can see that power out of the Alpha in 3rd and 4th gear. I think it's mainly because of the gearing. The gearing on that car through 3rd and 4th is really good for acceleration. However, once we get to the end of the straight, we've managed to get back past. He's having a little look up the inside, but we're going to go for that wider line and just try and get on the power nice and early. You can see our tyre wear being that little bit better. We're able to get on that power that little bit earlier, and you can see it drops off a little bit. You can see he starts to catch back up through 3rd and 4th gear. However, he's not going to have enough once we get into 5th gear, because 5th gear on the Silvia is pretty strong on this car. It's actually quite a fast car in 5th gear. So back over to the racing line. We know that he's not going to be able to get close enough here, because Silvia has quite good pace once you're in that 5th gear revving it out. So into the braking zone. No need to go defensive here. Just take the normal racing line, and now we can try and concentrate on seeing if I can catch that group of cars up. You can see I've lost quite a bit there. We're outside the slipstream, we were outside the 33s as well on them laps where we were battling with the Alpha. You can see 34s. Now we've got to try and put some good laps in. We've got no slipstream, but I'm sure we can get some good lap times in. You can see going through that sector in quite a nice time, into the only a 10th off our best, or 2 tenths off our best lap of the race so far. So that was promising considering the tyre wear that we had on the car at this phase. And now we've just got to try and get our way through this section, taking it nice and smooth, and then try and get a good exit off this straight. We've got the Silvia back behind us now. He's managed to get past the Alpha also. That Alpha is dropping back further and further and further. But we get a nice exit off that corner, and you can see as we're going to go to the end of the straight, we're going to skip a little bit further ahead, and we're very, very close to the group of cars in front of us. You can see we've got some battling going on, and you can see we've got ourselves back into the 33s as we skipped ahead a few laps there. We're lap 11 at 33.9, lap 12 another 33, which was pretty good for me. I was pretty happy with getting another 33 on lap 12 at this stage of the race. So over the line on lap 13, what will we go over the line with, as we're on a pretty good lap? We've got a bit of slipstream there at 34.4, so it's starting to drop off. You can see lap 13, them tyres are starting to fade a little bit, but we are getting into the slipstream, and we're not far behind even P1. You can see only 3.4 seconds behind P1, and P2 is literally just up ahead of us. So this is going to be quite an exciting race. You can see that the cars are fading, that obviously the 4-wheel drive cars. The Silvia, which was better for the race conditions, is starting to come through now, and this could be anyone's race at this stage. We know that the Silvia is in P1 though. That the driver of P1 was also in the Silvia, so his tyres should be a little bit better than some of the other cars that are behind him. But the good thing is here, we don't really have anyone to defend to. You can see we've managed to build that gap up. Now it's all about just getting in the slipstream to the cars in front of us and just trying to find an opportunity. This is quite an intense end to this race, I have to say. You can see we've got P1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 all within 3.3 seconds of each other. So 6 cars separated by just over 3 seconds. It's going to be incredible. You can see the difference as we come into the braking zone here. You can see just how close this race is. P1 up there, P2, P3, P4, P5 and myself in P6. And this is why we always love Gran Turismo. When we get races like this, I don't think there's anything out there that comes close to the excitement that this game brings. This race was streamed live, so you can also check out the stream. I think on the channel it should still be on there unless I had a video go up after it. But you know, if you want to see the live reaction, it was so much fun. I didn't expect to be in this position in this race with an opportunity of a top 5 here. So possibly getting the 300 points that we set ourselves as a goal. So into the braking zone, getting very, very close to the Silvia in front of us, driven by Stelios. And we see on the exit here, we see the Subaru running wide, picking up dirty tyres, hitting into the barrier, and that's going to give me and Stelios the opportunity to go for the overtake. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, which we managed to do, and up into P5. So we're now in a top 5 position from P8 on the grid. We can also see up ahead, Fento is all over Mumu there in the Subaru. I think Mumu is in the Alpha actually. So yeah, this is going to be an intense battle all the way to the finish. You can see that that black Alpha up there is struggling on tyres. Fento all over the rear of that car. Now the one thing the Alpha does have is incredible acceleration, so that might just be able to save him from the move as we work our way up the straight, and we clip the wall on the hill here. This is where I really wanted to get the move done on Stelios. Luckily we were close enough to his slipstream not to lose a massive amount. You can see we did lose a half a tenth, but then we're drawing that back in now. But we're probably going to be a bit too far back to go for an overtake into the braking zone. You can see I have a little look here, too far back, decided to get back on the racing line and try and get a solid exit. But you can see, look at the Alpha and the Silvia battling up ahead, and this was such an enjoyable race, I have to say. It was getting really exciting at the end. You could see that there was opportunities. You know, if one mistake from P1, we're only 3 seconds behind now. We were 3.4, we've got that down to 3 seconds. It's actually going to be under 3 seconds by the time we get over the start finish and onto the turn 1 in this track. So you can see under 3 seconds now. So incredible racing. We're going to go for a move now on Stelios. Can we make this work on the inside? Now you have to be careful when going up the inside here, because you've got to be making sure you rotate the car and get on the power nice and early. You can see we get on the power. However, I had to give it a little lift because I felt the understeer kick in, and that means Stelios is going to go back round the outside. Some really good racing going on here. So great battle. Unfortunately we had the move done, but I just got on the throttle a fraction too early, had to lift back off the throttle, and now we're back down to P5. But yeah, not losing massively to the cars ahead still though. You can see that Fento has not got past Mumu yet, so he's struggling to find the way past that Alpha. It was obvious it was going to be like that. The Alpha is incredibly fast on acceleration, but the one opportunity you're going to get is always at the end of this straight when the 5th gear kicks in and with a bit of slipstream. So yeah, trying to get a good exit off here. You can see Fento very, very close to Alpha actually on the exit of that corner. I'm going to pick up that slipstream again to Stelios and see if we can go for a move again. Maybe try the same move into turn 1. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better on this go. So picking up that slipstream, we're a little bit further back this time, so we're going to have to try and get a good solid exit from this final hairpin. So braking just before that 100 board, go for a wide line, get it tucked in, absolutely hit that apex perfectly there. Got on the throttle really early. You can see gained 2 free temps in one corner. Absolute perfect corner there. Now we've got to try and go for a move. Can we make it work this time? So picking up the slipstream, can we go for a move and make it stick this time? So we're going to go to the left, then go to left again, and try and see if we can work our way on the inside. Now this time we have to make sure we brake a little bit earlier and try and keep it tight into the apex. So brake a fraction earlier this time, down to 2nd gear, then back up to 3rd gear, try and get on the power, and this time it looks like we've made that one work and up into P4 in this Nations race. Really fun battling going on in this race, some good clean racing as well. Absolutely, I really did enjoy this battle. It was so much fun all the way through. You can see we're actually getting close to Fento and Mumu. If we could have just got through some of that traffic a little bit faster, we could have been battling here for P2 with Fento and Mumu. You can see we've got 1.5 laps to go, and it's incredibly close, but Fento has still not managed to find the way past the Alpha, but that Alpha will really be struggling with the tyres. And you can see even P1 seems to be struggling a little bit with them tyres, 3 seconds ahead. This could be anyone's with one mistake in this race. And again, I'm going to have to make sure I got a good exit off that corner there, because we've got Stelios right behind us there. Luckily, we got a slightly better exit, which meant it, with the slipstream, he just wasn't able to get close enough. You can see he's getting closer and closer and closer, but he's going to be a little bit too far back in the braking zone. So you can see I can brake at my normal point, get the car into the apex, and you can see that Fento has gone for that move on Mumu, put himself up into P2, and now we've got 1 lap to try and see if we can get a podium position. We're a little bit far back. You can see 1 second back. It's going to be a little bit further by the time we get to the finishing line. However, Mumu's trying to go back for a move on Fento. He's picking up that slipstream. The more they battle, the better for me, because that means that they're going to lose time. So we're going to go over line 2.6 seconds behind the leader. This is an incredible end. You can see there, Venter goes round the outside. You can see Mumu trying to hold that inside line. He's struggling for grip in that Alpha, the four-wheel drive system, as we see also Stelios right behind us here in P5. This is so nervous. I've got to try and push while I've got a car right up behind us. And as we come through here, it looks like that Alpha cut a little bit too much off the corner. And he did. He took too much off. He's picked up half a second penalty, which he'll have to take before the finishing line, which means I'm going to have to focus it and try and get on the throttle as early as we can out of that corner to see if we can go for a move into the hairpin. So this is going to be an intense ending to this Nations race. Coming through these two left corners. Now this is the important corner. You see Stelios behind us. Also will want to get a good exit as well to see if he can go for a move. Onto the power nice and early. Run it up to the wall. You can see Stelios behind us, who unfortunately hits that wall. Good for me though, he loses a lot of momentum out of that corner. But for me, I do it pretty well. You can see 1 second behind. He's going to take that penalty. We're going to have to go for a send if it's going to be done. So we're picking up the slipstream. We go to the right hand side. Try and do a bit of a fake so he goes back to the racing line. Then tuck up the inside. Down to first gear. Very rarely did I use first gear for this corner, but this time we do it to help slow the car down. Make the corner nicely. And up into a podium position on the final corner of the race. And that has been one of the most enjoyable Nations race. Well, one of the most enjoyable races I've had on Gran Turismo so far. So much fun. Definitely had the pace. I think me and Fento definitely had the pace to contend for a win if we would have qualified better. But what a race. We take P3 and some very respectable points from P8 on the grid. And also, we weren't really expecting to get massive points from this round. So I was really happy with that. An absolutely brilliant race to end that round on as well. Didn't want to go again because we didn't want to ruin it with some like bad driving or whatever. But P3, 5 positions gained. And actually we took 300, I think it was about 347 points. Let's have a little look here now. As we go to the point screen, 344 points it is. So some very, very nice points in the Nations Championship. Hopefully you enjoyed that race. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you did. And I'll be back with more track guides, race highlights and live streams in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.